Hi there, welcome. In today's video, I'm going to be walking you through how to use Pinterest for beginners. The last one that I did was about 2 years back, and I feel like it's time for an update now because Pinterest has released so many new features and there's lots of new things that I want to share with you. So without further ado, let's dive in. Okay, the first thing that we're going to walk you through is going to be the home feed, which looks a bit like this. You're going to see a bunch of images, and essentially these images are called pins. So these are what people are pinning, and these are linked to people's websites. They can be linked to their account, they can be linked to their store, to their shop, or even to places like Etsy or Amazon. When you click on such a link, you are going to be then led to the website of the person who has that particular pin. When you go back, you're going to see a random stream. And again, this is going to be different for everyone who uses Pinterest based on your interests, your hobbies. And at the beginning, Pinterest just shows you random pictures until it gets an idea about what you're looking for, what you're searching for, what kind of products you're looking for. And essentially will be a mix of organic and paid content. So any of the pins that you see which have a promoted buy at the bottom are going to be paid pins. This is pins that people have put money behind. So just like on Facebook, when you have sponsored content, or on Instagram, you have ads. The same way you also have, promoted pins, which are essentially advertising on Pinterest. As you can see, there's a lot of different types of content out here. There's videos like this, where you kind of have, audio and, some effects. And you also have simple idea pins, which are going to be, again, something that we discuss in a short bit. But you also have image pins. For example, this is just a simple image pin of a ring. And then we have different types of pins with text on them, pins with a little bit of text, pins with more text. So as you can see, primarily Pinterest is a visual search engine. This means that you search through visual images, right? So this is something that you can get used to once you start using Pinterest. It's quite unfamiliar at the beginning if you're used to just being on Google or on YouTube, where you text, you look at text and you look at videos and you search through that. But you can also just look at Pinterest to kind of find visual inspiration, right? So this is going to be your home feed. And again, like I said, this gets curated for you and it keeps changing all the time. You'll never have the same static feed ever, because it's just constantly updating with things that Pinterest, things you might find interesting or interact with. Next, let's go to our profile and talk all about what a Pinterest profile looks like. So as you can see, this is one of our profiles. Now we have multiple Pinterest accounts, and the one that is for digital empires, which is my marketing business, is this one. And as you can see, I have a cover photo here, back up here. You can just simply edit it here if you want. You can change the cover, you can remove the cover. I kind of like the cover, so I've kept it, but you don't need to have it. You can just also leave it random, in which case Pinterest will just auto-populate some images here and that's going to show up. Then we have the title of the account. Of course, it's the account name, and you can choose your pronouns if that's something of interest to you. You can claim your website here. So again, we'll go to it in just a second. And guys, if you haven't yet created your account, you should definitely check out my business account tutorial. I'm going to link to it in this video, but it's also on my Pinterest account playlist, Pinterest tips playlist on the YouTube channel. So make sure to head there and see how you can set up your account step by step. I'm not going to go into it in this video because otherwise we'll never finish this training. As you can see, my profile has a bit of a description of what I do and what people can expect to learn from this profile as well, right? And then there's primarily two different options. So there is created section, which is going to be all the pins that you have created, which are going to be, pins that you upload, that you share for your website, and so on and so forth. And there's going to be the saved section. In the saved section is where we find something called boards. Now, boards are essentially groups of pins under a specific category. So as you can see, this board is all about make money blogging, and you will be able to see that it has, all of the different images which are about blogging, of course. And then we have different types of boards based on what your business is going to be about. So you're going to create boards essentially around keywords, categories, and topics that your business pins about. So if you have, let's say, a coaching business, then your boards are going to be related to what are the problems that you solve for your clients. If you have a jewelry business, then your products are going to be the categories that you will create boards for. So you will have boards regarding specific necklaces, crystals, all of those things, right? So boards are basically ways for you to make the Pinterest algorithm understand what the heck is your account all about, and also for you to save your content somewhere. So as we will see shortly, you actually need to create a pin and save it to a specific board each time you pin something on Pinterest. You can't just upload it to your account like, how it works in Instagram and it stays in your profile. That does not work. You do need to have a board where you save your pins, and that's why we have, different types of boards. Now there's also something called group boards, and again, due to the interest of time, I'm not going to dive deep into it, so you can have a look at it on my profile as well. I have a group boards tutorial in the Pinterest playlist. Group boards are essentially boards that you have other contributors with, so you can join boards where you also have other people that you pin with. So for example, this one, you can see you have social media tips, and this has more than one collaborator obviously, and this is also, you know, a kind of type of board that we can work with. Again, group boards used to be really relevant in the past. They're not so important right now, but they can absolutely help kickstart your account at the beginning, specifically if you have a very specific niche that you know, create content for. So there's no harm in being a part of a couple of group boards that are related to your niche, but it's not an absolute must for success on Pinterest anymore. So when we go to the created section, you will see different things in different profiles. So now, since Pinterest has released something called idea pins, which basically work like TikToks or Instagram reels. And as you can see, I have basically just reposted one of my Instagram reel or TikTok. I'm not sure which one this is, but this kind of shows up, and then I can kind of, you know, add some notes if I want, some hashtags, and then this surfaces as a type of pin as well. Unfortunately, right now you're not able to add links to these pins, but Pinterest is working on it. And if you, for example, have a Shopify store, or if you're a member of certain affiliate programs, you can create these pins and add these affiliate links, but these are kind of restricted at the moment. So Pinterest is still rolling this feature out and testing it. We are hoping that it's going to come soon, because that's going to be really interesting when someone can click right away from, you know, your idea pins and just sort of go to your profile or to your website and to kind of take an action there, right? So as we scroll down, sorry, I have a lot of idea pins because I do create a lot of video content. Also, shameless plug, if you don't follow me on TikTok or Instagram, make sure you do. It's the same name as it is on YouTube as well. And when we go all the way down, that's when we will reach image pins. So I'm still waiting to reach that. I'm not scrolling fast enough apparently, but yeah, as you can see, I have different types of idea pins. I have shared business content, you know, funny content, testimonials, things about behind the scenes, and so on and so forth. Okay, finally we've reached here. Now this, you can see, are going to be the typical types of pins that bloggers usually post, and these are going to be pins about you know, which are related to your blog post. So essentially each of these pins, if I click to them, is going to link to my blog. So when I click to them, they're going to open a blog post on my blog, and that's basically the point of, you know, having a pin or Pinterest account, because you're able to send traffic over to different places on your website or your store or wherever else you want, right? And as you can see, there are different types of pins. There are pins based, you know, with images. There's some pins with mostly text. There's some pins with infographics, and so on and so forth. And this is really going to differ depending on the type of business and brand that you're building. So if you're building, for example, a product-based brand, it's going to be completely different. So let's say that we want to try out, you know, a product-based business, and we want to see what kind of profile they have. So you can simply go and, you know, kind of look into all pins. And then see what types of profiles and images people have, which are, let's say, selling soap, for example, right? So this is a gardening blogger. As you can see, she has a lot of views, and then she also has lots of image. So again, different types of things. So one of the things that I love doing when I'm starting a new account on Pinterest is to do research on that particular niche and really see how the most popular profiles are working on it. And here's how you can do your research. You simply have to go back to your home feed, or you can just type in here, and just like I typed in soap as, you know, a random keyword, you can see what other keywords come up. So, you know, soap packaging or whatever. And then you can click through to profiles and see what are the different profiles that are showing up, and see what are the types of content that they're creating, what content seems to be getting a lot of engagement, what are the different keywords that they're using, right? So you can go and basically stalk their profiles and see what types of boards they've created, so on and so forth, and what they're doing, right? This is a great way for you to kind of kickstart your business on Pinterest, because you're able to actually get access to how the business works, and you're able to also see, you know, what is it that's already working. Okay, so that's pretty much it about, you know, the boards as well as the profiles. Next is, what the heck are you supposed to be doing on Pinterest, right? So how do you post on Pinterest? So right now, Pinterest gives you two different options to either create a normal image or a video pin. So you can either drop or, you know, or click. Basically, you can add an image or a video, right? And just for you know, demonstration sake, I will show you one of the things. I'm not going to pin it because I feel like we've probably already pinned it. So this is a typical pin which has, how to clean up Pinterest board. It's about a blog post. If I had a product-based business and I was selling products, here's where I would be able to tag my product. You can add your URL and, let's say whatever the listing is for your product or sales page, you can add that and then your product will show up over here, right? But since we're not doing that, we can just add the title. So the title can either be the same thing as the pin or it can be something different. So how to clean up Pinterest boards. This can be, the title of the pin. And then in the description is your chance to really use the keywords with which people can find your content with. So here's where you'll have to do a little bit of research, or you can also use a kind of blurb from your blog post and see, what is it that you can write. So usually you can write, up to 500 characters. So you will basically talk about keywords and statements that people are using to find this blog post, right? So this is what you will have in here. If you have a product, then you can add in your product specifications, the pricing and all of that stuff, right? And here is where you're going to be adding a destination link. This is simply a URL. So in the case of a blog post, if you're promoting a blog, then we are going to be adding basically a blog post link here as well. So I will just quickly go and get one of the URLs just to show to you how this works, even though it's not the right URL, but basically just add it here and then you can decide whether you want to publish it immediately or you want to publish it at a later date. This is really cool because Pinterest actually allows you to publish up to the next 2 weeks. This means that you don't have to, always be kind of like on Instagram posting as is. You can actually schedule your posts without having to use an external scheduler. And then you can, last but not least, decide which board it's going to go to. So for example, this pin, because it is, a test pin, I'm not going to actually end up pinning it here. But if I had to, I would probably look for a Pinterest board because that is where this pin belongs. So I would look at a board such as Pinterest board ideas or Pinterest for bloggers or Pinterest for business, and I would use a really relevant board to pin it to because that's how the algorithm knows that this is what the content is about and who to show it to. So you don't want to be pinning the wrong images or texts or even pins to the wrong boards. Always make sure that you are pinning to the right boards, right? So this is how you would create a normal pin, right? The other option would be to create an idea pin. And again, I have a full-on tutorial about how to create an idea pin, which you can walk through and see. Just really quickly, I have a draft here so you can kind of see, it's a video draft. You also can actually add different images as idea pins and have them show up at the top of your profile. So if that's something you want to do, you can absolutely do it. And it really does help with, Pinterest SEO as well, because it's pushing out idea pins a lot. So you can absolutely do that. As you can see, when I click play, I can see, what the video is about. I can click and add text here. So check out my website or whatever. Lots of different things you can do. You can go to next and then again the same thing comes up. You have to pick a board, you have to pick a title, and you have to look for certain tags. A tag is simply a keyword. So in this case, I would look at maybe marketing. So I would select that and then I would select something like business. Anyone who would benefit from this idea pin is who you want to have as your tag topics, right? In your details, it really is important. If, for example, you are sharing a recipe or you're sharing like a craft, a DIY thing, then you can also, kind of show what supplies you use for it. And for anything else, you can just add your notes. So usually I use this section to add a few keywords about what this idea pin is about and what's the next step that I want people to take, right? And then you can see how this would look like in people's feed as well. So it's basically the same as, as a reel or as a TikTok, but it has, an idea pin factor to it, which means that you also can actually just create a new one with different images and then they will basically be shown like a story on Instagram. So they would show up at the top of the profile like a story, right? So these are the two types of pins that we can create, and that's pretty much how you would get started. Again, I have in-depth tutorials on my channel about each of these topics, so feel free to dig into the Pinterest playlist and check that out. Next, we're going to talk about quickly one of my favorite features, and this is the last thing I'm going to cover in this tutorial, and this is going to be the analytics of your account. This is where, guys, you can really find gold. So this is where you can find what is working for your account, what's not working for your account, and really use that information to build your strategy, right? So since I don't have product pins, I actually can't see the activity of that. But if you do tag your products, you'll be able to see, hey, how your product pins are doing, and you can see which products are getting more clicks, more engagement, and which are not. You can go into idea pins and you can actually check the performance of that. You can see the top boards, the top idea pins, what's doing really well, how many impressions every day you're getting. So you can see that our idea pins are roughly getting about 1,000 impressions per day, 500 to 1,000, which is again not bad at all because it's all free, it's organic. I'm not paying for any of these impressions. So it's cool that I'm able to have this reach without having to pay for it, right? And then your standard pins are going to be your text-based pins or your normal images that you upload, and you can really see what is doing well there as well, right? Another cool thing that I love about analytics is that there's audience insights, which specifically tells you what your audience is up to, right? So you can see what are the different categories that your audience is interested in. You can click through and see, subcategories that people are interested in as well. And you can use this for idea generation, for creating content, for creating pins, and even for creating boards, so that you can create and target very specifically people who are interested in the exact type of brand, blog, or business that you have. You can see the age, the demographics, the country, and all of that as well. Country is again something that's really exciting and interesting, because based on where the maximum of your following is, you want to be making sure that you're pinning at a time that's actually relevant to that following. So for example, if you're, the majority of your audience is, let's say, coming from Spain, you want to be pinning at the Spain, at the Central European time. But if the majority of your audience is coming from like the East Coast or the West Coast in the US, you want to be pinning at a time when they are most active, right? And mostly Pinterest users are using their mobile phones or their iPads, but most of the times it's mobile phones. So you want to be making sure that anything you pin is mobile friendly. So you don't want to create a pin which is too large or too small and is going to like kind of get cropped or show up weird on a phone, right? So that's pretty much it when it comes to an overview of how to use Pinterest as a beginner. So that's all for this video today. Make sure to like and subscribe to this channel if you're new here. I'll see you in the next one.